Hi everybody and welcome back down to the Two Pros Viz Pod, Joe. This is called
first one, yeah,
Viz
something
visual and audio.
Yeah, I mean we're evolving as everything else is.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun. This is, I think, as much as anything, for the ability, hopefully, for everyone to hear our normal kind of harping on, and hopefully see a little bit about kind of what we're discussing and what happens behind some of the comments we make and the reasons that we like stuff and reasons we don't.
Yeah, new driver season. We're going to start with TaylorMade.
Yeah, I think we're starting strong with this. I am really impressed with the whole concept of it this year. We've just said, kind of before we jumped on, it looks spectacular.
It does look spectacular. I love the colourways, I love the subtlety of it. I love that I wasn't the biggest fan of the blue face.
No, I think we're staying carbon again,
yeah.
But to see a black carbon face, we had red with stealth that obviously stood out like a sore thumb. Same with Qi4D. 35's a little bit more tame, but we saw that silver crown.
Yeah.
This just looks really sleek. Yeah. It looks back to what we came to expect from TaylorMade a few years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of looks in that Sim 2 or Sim era, where it's subtle but it looks really strong.
Yeah, you can tell the Tour Boys have had an influence on this, can't you, in terms of the shape and the look of it.
Massively, and I think we're both currently holding core models. There's a lower spinning model that's an even smaller one that they probably had more on. But I think this year, for the adjustability with the weighting system in it compared to previous years, we are going to see probably more Tour Pros playing this model, the core model, either 9, I think they do an 8 as well. Yeah. So just a forgiving 8 degree or a forgiving 9 degree driver is going to do what previous years LSs have done.
And that's, like, a lot of them are going more this way now, aren't they? But it's more about that forgiveness. They've gone away from SLDR, low spin monsters. I know they're still out there in some of the brands, and majority of the brands, like your LS model, I bet you could get that to a low monster, a spinning monster.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, again, what we're starting to learn is that the progression of fitting is there with it. So this year the story's been really strong that we've got the Max version. So weight at the back, weight at the front. If you have the weight at the front of that, that becomes close to the core model, bigger head. You've then got the core model with weights at the back, weights at the front. You can probably move this one around a little bit more. So you've got your draw bias, your fade bias, and your back and front. Yeah. A little bit more like kind of how PXG have done things in the past with the 4 weight ports. Yeah. I quite like that because it's a little bit easier to move around. Yeah. If you move the weights forward in this, you get something that's slightly more forgiving than the LS, and then the LS can be moved back to front to be, like I said, that low spin monster. But we've got 3 heads, each with 2 varieties, so really there's going to be 6 drivers available to most players, taking out draw and fade in it. And I think that's a really strong proposition from them that some other brands haven't got this year.
Yeah, I think TaylorMade have done it for the past couple of years, but they just make really good, like shelf appeal, really good looking drivers.
Absolutely. One of my probable gripes with previous years is the lack of adjustability in it. Yeah. I don't think a loft sleeve is enough anymore. No. You've got to have that movability in the head. Something I've always been a fan of is having that little bit of toe weight. Yeah. In the core models, we still get players that need a core model but hit the ball left. Yeah. It's not necessarily, forgiveness isn't draw. We get a lot of players that lose the ball right. Yeah. That's great, bring a draw model in. But some players can lose the ball left, and having this little kind of toe port is massively important.
Should we get some?
I think we should.
We're going to start off with the standard model, or the kind of the stock model. Joe, we've got GC quads and TP5s.
TP5s, yeah.
That's what we're going to be using.
Been on those for a little while myself now, and I really do like them, to be fair. They've produced the kind of best numbers off the wedges and around the greens, and then kind of fell into driver, and it was something I was advised to do. I was playing a TP5X previous and struggled a little bit in places, and a good fitting friend of mine kind of said, oh yeah, says if you put a softer ball in that's going to work around the greens, then you can start to think about what it does off the tee. And it's certainly something that I'd say to anybody this year is get fit for one of these with the ball you're going to play for the year. Yeah. Because now for me, if I'm playing a TP5, we might find the ball spins a little bit more because it is a softer ball. That is really easy to change with the weighting and setup of the driver. You can't change the weighting and setup of all your wedges and everything if you commit to the wrong ball for the year. Yeah, so I think that's a really strong thing, is make sure you're getting fitted with what you're actually after. Yeah. So we'll give this a whirl. So this for me is just a stock standard core head set at 9 degree neutral, and it's got the little tensile white extra stiff in it. So we'll see what it does and see where it goes.
Just warn people on the pod, Joe's going to smash one now, so it might be quite loud in your car, so you might want to
Yes,
sound
a bit
warning.
of a trigger warning,
Yeah.
so to speak.
You
Just
wanna
turn the volume down a
bit.
smidge. Sorry for any loud noises. I'm a fan, a little bit Healy, but again, I think that's probably a great place to start when we talk about the first swing of the day with stuff.
Yeah.
It's in keeping with what I'd expect to see. For myself, a little bit blocky on that for anybody that's seen the numbers, but that was a little bit Healy, and it's still got out there. So that for me talks about where we've got the extra bit of a bulge and roll in the face this year, where we have lost that a bit right, but we've still got 270 out of it.
Yeah.
And that for me, I think, is going to be somewhere that some of the brands do really well this year and others maybe don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Is let's see what happens with the miss it. I know on a good day, if I'm hitting the middle of the face, generally it shouldn't hurt with what I'm swinging, but on those off days, that's where it makes the real big difference.
And for me, that's what a lot of golfers are doing, aren't they? They're getting out the car, they're having what we've just done today, literally 2 or 3 wedges each, couple of drivers, and let's get recording.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more common than I think people think. And something just looking at that though straight away is that backspin number is exactly where I'd want it to be.
Yeah.
It's a little bit further right, admittedly, but I quite like the number it's produced.
What are you looking for? About 2.3, 2.4?
2.2, 2.3 for me is normally where I kind of sit it if I'm swinging it really well. We'll try and say this and try and produce one if we can. A little bit straight, a little heavy if you want to call it that, but that for me again, another comfy swing, not absolutely blistered and yet still gets out there at 294.
You haven't got it that kid, have you? That's the thing.
No, not the greatest strike we're going to produce today, but again, I think that's where we have this strength of what's happening. So we've got kind of 103 mile an hour going into it and still 146 coming out, so the efficiency's it's well up there for miss hits. And
TaylorMade haven't been that in the past, have they?
Not as much as other brands.
No.
And I think this is where probably some of the claims from TaylorMade have been quite interesting this year, because if Ping say something's forgiving, generally it's going to be more forgiving than most.
Yeah.
Ping are known for the forgiveness. TaylorMade have always been known for ball speed, and yet if they say something's fast, as they have, then it's quick. We're seeing that straight away, so 146 out of a very average strike for me. If I'm going to hit my bad one down there at 297, then I'm happy with that. I'm going to take that all day long. We'll clip one more and we'll see where it goes, eh? A little bit of a better one, probably jump up a little bit spin wise, but I think I've hit that from every possible direction on the face really.
But if they're your first 3 swings of the day, Joe, do you know what I mean? You take
Absolutely,
them, don't you?
yeah. I mean, that again, that's probably where I'd look for my kind of set of numbers to be with that.
Yeah.
So that's sat down a little bit in terms of spin. So that's sitting 2,000.
Yeah.
So 2,050. It's just under that 2,100 that I'd normally be comfortable with, but it's still got out there. So just tickled over 300 there.
Yeah.
I'm over the moon with that.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. I've just ramped up in terms of loft a little bit. I'm around 10 and a half with this one, and then just a standard stock stiff shaft. I don't move it as quick as Joe, because I'm an old man compared to this young whippersnapper. Let's smash one out there, shall we?
Certainly going to go a
bit more because of the spin, but these are my numbers, and I've just kind of spoken to Joe about what should I do this year. Should I go chasing a bit of distance, or should I just get comfortable with a driver that's going to be in play? And that's the hard dilemma, Joe, isn't it, for a lot of people?
I think the best bit of advice I was ever given, a great coach down in Wrexham that I still see now, Rich, we had a conversation about almost treating driver like a wedge.
Yeah.
I think so many people sit in the tee box and kind of go, right, I'm going to knock this out there as far as possible, lose control over it. You know how far your wedge goes. If you've got 100 yards and you're hitting a wedge, you know it's going to go 100 yards, and there's not much point in hitting it over it. Is where, when you start to treat driver like that, if you're able to know that your driver goes 260, 270, whichever it is, as long as you can put a swing on it that hits that number, you stick into your game plan.
Exactly, mate. But from a look and a feel perspective, I just think it's really inviting on the tee. For me, I don't know if you see it, Joe, but it sits a little bit open.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a comment we were going to make earlier actually, that it doesn't look for a core model as draw bias as previous ones have.
Because some of them are, aren't they? Like in the past they've looked really turned in.
Absolutely, and I think that when we're talking about core model, we're talking about something that sits in the middle.
Yeah.
Your draw bias is slightly short. Your kind of lower spin one tends to be a little bit more open. This should be relatively neutral.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be short, it shouldn't be wide open, but it sits at a draft really, really nice.
It does, really encouraging. Right, let's have one more, then we'll move on to the. Should we do the Max next, Joe?
I think we should. It's a lovely strike again, and I think as far as standard heads go, I do question where we're actually going to sit players between them, because I see the Max kind of being ultra forgiving, but is it going to be needed?
Yeah.
Because for what that's doing as just back weighting, I'm really, really intrigued. One thing we will do just before we do jump to the Max is just tinker these weights around a little bit.
Come on.
And just see where we go. So all I'm going to do, grab the wrench in here, and we're just going to tinker. So we've got 2 9 grams and 2 4 grams. He says I think they might be 6s actually at the back of this. So we've got two 6 grams and 2 4 gram weights. So again, for me, I do tend to lose the ball a little bit right myself. So all I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to take one out. We're going to swap it into that draw position first. So naturally, straight away, I'd expect the spin to drop ever so slightly. They're nice and easy interchangeable weights. And I think something that I'm a big fan of as a fitter is the static weight concept.
Yeah.
So these sliders have been brilliant, but if I fit somebody for a drive and they have a tinker around with it, trying to find the spot they were is pretty difficult. As well with this, we've got these 2 weight ports at the back, and we know where they're going to be. It's nice and simple for what we're after and where we're going with it.
And it's quick and easy, Joe, as well, isn't it? To do like you're doing as you're chatting there. There's
it's
no complicated manual. I know
Doesn't
that
feel
I've seen
like
the new Cobra's got a QR code that you zap, and then you've got a
It's always been a sticking point of mine, and it's only a little gripe, but again, when you look at something like Titleist, where you've got to actually pull it up online to understand what A to D and 1 to 4 means and all the combinations, I think it gets a little bit complex for players, and that's not something I really like. I think it confuses them.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to chuck that back in, and I'm just really intrigued to see what this does in terms of the shape, because for me, I don't mind playing a little bit of a draw bias driver. I do tend to lose it right. Again, as a player, and those who have fitted me or worked with me will know I'm a real pain with. I don't like to see the ball go overly right, but I dread the left miss.
Yeah.
I really don't like that left miss, so I'm intrigued to see this. So what should have happened with this, as we've moved more weight here than back here, the heel should travel a little bit slower, so the toe's going to come over a little bit there. So I'd expect to see this now start to flip, start to curve a little. I'd also expect the start line to move left a smidge, so I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. And straight away, exactly the same shot as the first one, a little bit heely. I say a little bit, probably a bit more than a little bit heely, but it's held its line.
Yeah.
And straight away for me, that's huge. It's a big miss, that is, for me, really. And yeah, it's 280, and it's not as far right. Straight away we can see that's brought it down a bit. And I think this is something that I'd feed back to players. If you're going for a fitting, make sure you're striking it well first, because I think a lot of people will warm up with their own driver and they won't swing it all that well. They'll get into something, and by the time you get 20 of these, you'll get warm. And once you start to see that, then if you aren't hitting the centre of your own driver, you're not going to get a direct comparison. And I think anybody that is trying, you ought to go back to your own driver and test a few with it just to see.
Yeah.
See if we get a slightly better one out there. That for me is more like what I want to see, so that's controlled that right.
Yeah. Just play again to.
I feel like I can go at that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I can release it a little bit without the risk of kind of flipping it.
Yeah.
I really like that. It kind of assists in what I'm aiming to do. We'll chuck one more in there and we'll see where we go.
Joe, what are your thoughts of it?
I like it. I'm really impressed with it. My sticking point's been look for TaylorMade the last few years. I think they made stuff that's maybe a little bit too out there.
Yeah.
And yet this is what I want to see. I love a matte head. I love a darker head. Generally always preferred that kind of PXG matte black.
Yeah.
Currently gaming Strixon, that again is that same look. This matte dark grey works for me. The black face isn't too flashy, just a little bit of orange and blue in the back makes it look that bit more modern. But yeah, I'm really impressed. I must admit the shape's better than previous years.
Yeah.
It certainly looks a lot more of a refined driver.
Oh, nice, good hit.
Yeah, again, nice controlled one. A day where I'd be risking losing it right a little bit on the course. Carrying 280, out at 306. And again, from what I'd say with this, and I'd say it to people, if we can see there, a lot of these stripe marks are coming out just slightly heel side of centre.
Yeah.
So that for me on a day like this is a kind of perfect setting.
Would you want to talk about the dots, Joe, right in front of the screen?
Yeah, so what we've got here, we've kind of got the reflective dots here down the face, and it's something we'll see, I believe, in the fitting models, more so than the actual retail models. But what this does, when we've got the GC3 there, or GC Quad, it actually picks up the data on the numbers here. So what we get then, and we'll try and get it on here, it shows the club speed, it shows the efficiency of the driver as well. That makes a fitter's life a lot easier. So what I can see out of that, straight away we get to see how the angle of attack is, the club path, so I know how I'm swinging it on any given day. And I think that's a huge advantage to most of these brands aren't putting this in. I think it's something that we need to see.
And for me, I just think they've made a really nice stock model here. And what we'll do is we'll jump over to the Max in a moment, and then we'll kind of give you a bit of an in-depth of the Max, and then we'll jump on to the LS. So just, Joe, final thoughts on the standard model?
Probably the best core model I've seen out of a driver for a number of years. I think this is going to be the majority of what you see on the shelf in pro shops. I think it's where every fitting needs to begin. It's certainly the most adjustable one out of the lineup, and I think that gives it a massive advantage. If you need draw fade, slightly low or slightly high spin, it is the most tunable driver that we've probably seen this year, and I just think they've got it right. I think if you walk into a pro shop, it's the first one that's given me that kind of excitement of shelf appeal that you look and go, you know what, that looks really good.
And the head cover's good, it's like a greeny kind of head cover.
Yeah, we'll get a photo into that in a moment for anybody online as well. But I think that's something that we're starting to see now. Head covers play a big part in it. Head covers give that kind of the feel to it. Again, you might be buying the car, but the leather that the seats and the steering wheel are made out of is important. And that's what we start to see with these more premium ones. It is a slightly more premium price. It's within, I believe, the realms of reasonable. It's gone up a fraction as we kind of expect from year to year.
Kind of 529.
Early retail 529 to 549. We aren't quite sure where it's going to sit now. It hints at 549 online at the moment, but when that gets released, we do see a bit of change in that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came down a fraction. But I think for what people would be spending there, I wouldn't begrudge it at the moment, and I'm intrigued to see what this does, especially in fittings, against people with QI10s, QI35s, because I think it's going to give it a challenge. Going at fit, that's for me. That's the ultimate message.
Never spend that kind of cash on a driver without coming to see Joe, going to see your local pro, because that is so important. Just to mention as well, the dots are an upcharge, I believe. So I think it's about £40–50 upcharge to have the kind of dots built into the face.
I see, I wasn't aware of that, because for me, I think that's it got introduced to the QI35 that the dots were available on the fitting heads. And I think that's great because it gives us great information here. Unless you're on a GC3 or a GC Quad and really desperate for your numbers, I think you could get away with that. It's something that Quad do. They do the dots anyway.
It's one of those you can slightly see them as you address the ball, so that might help with a bit of facial alignment and things like that. But as you said, Joe, if you haven't got the tech, it's not
something you need. No, I think for 99% of players, I'd just go with the core head, no reflective markers, and just stick where you are.
That's cool. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the TaylorMade Qi4D Max. We've already talked about the core model from TaylorMade, the Qi4D. Now we're going to jump on to the Max model, and then I'm going to let Joe hit the low spin monster, the LS.
Thanks, mate.
Joe, we can probably show the camera. We can probably describe on the pod here about pretty much like the difference in heads, real kind of noticeable this year.
Yeah. So for me, the first point is the core head, and we've said it if you just heard the previous or watched the previous video. On here we've got 4 weight ports, so we've got one in the toe and one in the heel at the front, and we've got 2 at the back, one slightly heel side, one slightly toe side. that gives us 4 different ports of adjustability straight out of the box. When we get to the Max and the LS, we have 2 weights. Now, notably with this, and I don't know if it's the same for yours, we've gone from 2 4s and 2 6s, so we've got 20 grams of weight here, to a 15 and a 4. So marginally lighter in this one, but there's more influence in the heavyweight.
That's 13 and 4.
13 and 4. So what we're going to find is that the 13 at the back of that is going to be more than the 12 at the back of this. So we're going to move that centre of gravity back a little bit, and with the 15 in this, we're going to move the centre of gravity forward. And that's a real important part of talking about when you get fit for drivers, what we're looking for. So for me, where we've got the adjustability within that, when you look at the Max head, and we'll try and get a couple of comparison photos in a moment, the actual back of the head's bigger. So we're moving that weight even further back. So what you're seeing then, as you move that weight back, it becomes more forgiving. That's great. On this one, and you'll be able to see it's a bit of a shorter head in comparison to here. So we've got the 2 side by side. This head's a little bit bigger. So what we're starting to see is when we reduce that and we shorten this up, you can see the weight's almost tucked in a little bit more. So that whole centre of gravity is going to be further forward. That's going to affect your spin, it's going to affect your curvature. So in theory, this should be a little bit more forgiving for yours than the other. Probably a little bit harder to shape. This one, probably a little bit easier to shape, but a bit of a devil if you miss it. So there isn't going to be that support in there. So I'm really pleased you've stitched me up with that, because
that's alright, mate. I'll let it as well. I'll show myself up.
I need a challenge. Come on.
I'll show myself up. As we did in the previous pod, trigger warning, we're going to smash some balls, so it might be quite loud on your stereo or wherever you listen to your podcast. So, turn it down a little bit.
Looks wise, what are you seeing with that compared to the core?
I just think it looks a bit more straighter, if that makes sense. The core looks a bit more opener to dress, so I can see more of the reflective dots.
Okay, so
kind of more visual.
That I'd normally expect out of it. And I think for anybody that's kind of familiar with kind of older golf clubs, the one thing I'd say with this, the core versus the Max is kind of your old traditional Titleist D2 and D3. So your D2 was a little bit bigger, a little bit more pear-shaped, and then your D3 was that smaller, more aggressive head.
I love a bit more kind of meat at the back of the driver. This looks
it inspires confidence. It feels like you can hit it a bit harder.
That's it. So
straight away, without adjusting anything, we've seen that start line move left. And that's something that we remarked about in the previous pod, that the core looked that little bit more open. This, I feel, looks a little bit more shut.
I could easily play this.
It starts that ball left, it's going to reduce the curvature. I mean, just having a quick look at the numbers, it's spun up that little bit more, but it's still got some great numbers out of it.
I'm playing with this little lemonade at the moment, Joe, and I think it's working.
I love it, and I am a firm believer of play your own shape. There's so many people that I get trying to hit draws in fittings to try and squeeze a bit more out. Just go with what you swing it as, be honest about it, play your game, because it makes a huge difference to a fitter. Notably, that's load straight away.
So again, if we're almost having a fitting with these 3 drivers, that you're leaning to core to this straight away, aren't you?
So I'm just going to jump in and just have a quick look at those weighting positions, because, and again, we'll kind of run this as a bit of a fit as well. So what we've actually got on this model, 13 gram weight at the back, 4 at the front. Now, what that means is all that weight moves back towards the head here. So that's basically as forgiving as it gets. If we were to switch these over, I think we'd see that backspin number drop. I mean, you've hit 3 phenomenal drives there, all pretty much on top of each other, all bullet straight. If we can bring that backspin number down a little bit, we might be able to squeak a little bit more distance. But what we don't want to do, it is, but also I'm not a huge kind of, I'm not in opposition to seeing backspin high. People, if we rename backspin as control, people would be happy with it higher. And I think that's where people maybe misunderstand it, because if you're trying to go as low as you can, you're going to start getting dip flights, you're going to start getting balls that are landing and rolling through bunkers. It's not going to work for what you want to play. For me, you've carried that further, and that's a big advantage. And this is where, like we've previously said, now moving this weight forward brings it a little bit more forgiving than the core, but less forgiving than what we just hit. And I think that's going to put us into the right spot with this.
Because I don't know about you, but I've seen drivers over the years, and they brought these 3 or 4 heads out, and there's not that much difference. But it seems with these, especially this year, because there's a Max Light version of this driver, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a really forgiving one where you can get the kind of most influence out of the weight, and I think that's important as well, because when you look at kind of who we fit as kind of club professionals, there's certainly more players going into Max Light than there is LS. I've maybe got 2 guys that can play the LS if they're lucky.
Yeah.
As where most, if they want that Max Light, it'll launch, it'll go further, it's everything we want.
So, trigger warning, gonna smash them away for you.
I'm intrigued to see that again, little off centre if we're being mega picky with it, but it's still got out there.
Felt healy.
So that one in theory should jump the spin up.
Yeah.
That's where we'd expect to see it jump up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as we'd think.
No. It looks good. Again,
so we're sitting at 3 nines, we've healed that, we've jumped the spin up, and it's only 500 RPM higher than before. That's a great ball. Let's see what that does. Yeah, fantastic. Up out there again. And the one, I think it's a massive power in your own game, is that you've got that consistency over driver.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see any player hit it 260 continually than hit 300 occasionally, put 4 out bounds.
Yeah, because I know in the summer I'm probably going to get it out to kind of 280.
Absolutely. That bounce and roll. It's that's starting to come down a little. I'd certainly like to see a club with less loft in your hands.
Yeah. That was bottoming.
Now this is where that little bit of extra bulge and roll is going to kick in. That's where I'd expect the spin to be a little bit more controlled.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's exactly what we've got to talk about with this. You've just bottomed that, that's where you'd expect to see the spin jump up a little bit.
Yeah.
You'd expect to see shorter distances off that. And because that bulge and roll's in place, you've now actually spun that at 3.2. We'd expect that to jump up loads.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. And that's such a power of what this drive is going to do. It's launched lower, but it hasn't spun up loads, so you've not lost any distance off it. So for me, if you have got a vertical miss, so we're talking high versus low, I think the core's a great way to go. I think if you've got a high, low, and maybe a little bit of a left-right miss, the max is certainly the way to go.
Yeah.
That for me is going to do wonders for players.
Again, it's lovely. Even that, I nearly missed that one, Joe, and it's still got out there.
Absolutely, and I think again, you look at players, we aren't machines. Kind of even pros hit bad shots, and this was something that Rory remarked when it first came out, that he was really impressed with just how consistent the face was. Even he admits to hitting it high and low occasionally, and that's more his miss, but if he can control that, his distance stays the same, the curvature stays the same. I think they've made a driver really here that is faster than anything we've seen him do before, but B is so much more consistent too. There's no damage in that head at all.
No.
I think for me, 99% of players are going to be between the core and the max for me.
Yeah.
I think the max light for those that maybe want a little bit more, but certainly that product is going to be in the bag for a lot of players.
Good looking driver, really good looking driver. Come and join us, because you know what we're going to look at next.
Absolutely.
We're going to look at Joe ripping the LS model from TaylorMade. We're jumping on to the third model in the TaylorMade lineup, and this, Joe, is a beast.
Yeah. It looks fast, it looks mean. This isn't going to be for everybody.
No.
I can understand that. I mean, even looking at this, I don't recall seeing many drives that look actually much smaller than this. We're back to that kind of...
Like R7?
Yeah, it is. It's almost like kind of reminiscent of a Mini.
Yeah.
It's just in between the two, so we're expecting this to be lower spinning. I'm expecting this to be, for me, a little bit volatile. So moving that weight as far forward as you can, it really have it right tucked behind the face. It's probably going to be a bit more aggressive. I've said just before jumping on here, if we hit one well, this is probably going to go miles compared to the other. If we hit this badly, it's probably going to go a little more wayward than the others.
Come on, let's have a look. I'm excited.
I'm intrigued, and again, I think this has changed. This is a head I'd have dived for a few years ago, and now as we've kind of steadied out a little bit, I do like the core model. I like that little bit of something. I was always very much of the attitude of, if you can't miss hit it, don't. As where now I'm realising that maybe there is the odd miss hit in there these days. And I'd expect spin to be a little bit lower on this, so I'm really intrigued to see what happens. Just again, just put that little warning out, this might be a little bit loud for anybody that's listening. Hope it doesn't pop any eardrums.
Joe, you commented before on the weight. You felt when I was doing a few warm-up shots there, the weight was different from the other two.
Yeah, it feels very heavy. With the weights being closer together, there's a little bit less distribution. It almost feels like, if you remember the old one, we'll have to get a clip in for everybody, the old putter ball. There's one just behind there. It feels like that. There's a lot of mass at the end of the shaft, and it's quite. It doesn't feel that well distributed. It feels quite kind of forceful. Oh, superstar.
Of course, that makes me
So-
fine.
Oh yes, we'll play Tug of Money. It's a great game, this is. Mr. Captain gives me the Tug of Money, and I win. Well, listen, that's 17-0. You're going to have to get better at this. I'll see you in a bit. Are you staying about, or?
Yeah, I'm working on Winter League.
I got you. If I get time, school might have to go back in session again. I believe it was my week last week, so you've got to try and earn your way back. You just played County Pool absolutely like the floor with him last week, 2-1. Should we?
That was good. We finished on a good one. So maybe just then we'll jump into your numbers.
Yeah.
So I look at your numbers. I'll tell you what. Okay. Joe, that seemed pretty solid. That did.
Yeah, he was out the centre. It's always a bit of a reassuring one, really. But straight away we can see exactly what this drive is about. 2,700 spin. So previously when I was hitting the core, I'd expect that between 2.1 and 2.2. Straight away, this is going to knock spin off it.
Just a bit.
This is for me where I think also players can get maybe a little bit lost with these low spin models, and it's also something I'd be a little bit wary of if you are getting fit. If you're cutting across the ball and you've got the face open and you're popping the ball up naturally, or a little bit of a heely strike, you might get the odd fit to try to kind of ease you down this line. At that point, that's where I think this kind of the core model is going to do its damage, where you can stick with that, and there are bits that you're going to have to admit are maybe technical. There's some technicalities in there that might need ironing out before you jump straight into a low spin, because if you're hitting this heely, it's going to make it worse. So don't get talked into a low spin just because your spin numb's high. If it's consistent, run with it and see what we do.
I think people go on that, don't they, chasing numbers, because look at your numbers there. They're similar to the core, aren't they, really?
The actual distance number is very much the same. What I would say with this is we've seen it get down the floor a little bit more and run out. Personally, it's not something I like too much. I like to see the ball carry and stop with driver. I don't need it bounding on 30 yards. If we've got a bunker, and I always go back, the one that caught me out on this was the second hole at West Lancashire. Bunker smack in the middle of the fairway, and it's 270. I'd hit a ball straight down the centre, as happy as you like it, pitched just short and ran straight into it. He would have run out to 300 if it wasn't there, but the fact of it is it caught me. So I'd rather carry it over that, or carry it shorter and stop the ball up there. So I think again, the actual total distance number on this isn't everything. I'm quite keen to see where this kind of leads us with a few more swings, because I think this is going to be a little bit volatile on a miss hitting. I hope it's something we can kind of prove with it too. Again, struck fairly well. We could see it starting to dip straight out the sky as soon as it's hit. It runs like you wouldn't believe, but that for me is just, it's not holding in the air quite long enough.
I think would it be the kind of the argument low spin would help you if you were like at a West Lancs or somewhere like that where you know it's going to run forever and you want to take it out the sky a little bit?
Possibly, but I also don't think it's anything that lower loft couldn't do. So for me, if you're looking to tinker within a reasonable amount of that, I mean, there we go, 1400 backspin. So that's not sustainable, that's volatile. You've got to have the face absolutely dead square to keep that ball straight. If that's left, that's pitching left and going left quite a long way. And we did say earlier, if you kind of catch one out the toe, then you could be in serious trouble with this club. You've got to be really, really on your game to be able to do this. There's a slightly bottomy one. Not quite flush, and I'm quite surprised at that, really. That's
God, it's sort of some forgiveness in it.
That's surprisingly forgiving for a low spin driver. I'm quite impressed with it, truth be told. I mean, I've hit 3, again, quite central strikes, but a little bit varied over the face. One thing I do just want to do is just flip these weights over, just see where we kind of get to, because as we did with the previous club, for yourself with the Max, we moved the weight forward. On this, I'd just like to move the weight back, and we haven't got that little bit of playability in there where you can move it draw or fade, but we have got that ability to kind of bring the weight back a little bit. If we could bring them numbers up, I mean, again, I've bottomed that, needs to come out at 2.1. That's probably where I'd want my numbers. So I think this is certainly for the player that is hitting the centre of the face every time, really.
How many of the tour boys playing this, do you think?
I think there'll be a few. I don't think there'll be as many, certainly, with the adjustability of what the core can do. And bear in mind, there's always, well, I say this always, sometimes TaylorMade release weight packs. So we have 20 grams of weight in the core head, and we've got 19 grams in this. If you can get a player that can move a little bit more weight forward, so maybe go a little bit lighter in the core at the back and a little bit heavier at the front, we're going to have a big head that kind of spins low. That could be probably where a lot of tall boys are going to go this year. I think we're starting to see it a little bit more now, is that they want forgiveness too.
Yeah, exactly.
They are going to hit bad shots out there under pressure. I mean, again, I say about this, I'd never come down the 18th playing for hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Where sometimes a shot can be the whole difference. So I think for me, forgiveness is coming up on tour. As long as you can maintain speed and distance, feel like players want a club they can go at and get away with it.
Yeah.
Now, straight away, this almost, it feels like it's a little bit more laggy in the hand, so you can feel that weight here. And that's because we have moved that lot more weight back. So I'm really intrigued, because this could be a lot better for kind of what numbers we want to see with it. See straight away that's popped up. Not the greatest of strikes, and this is case in point for me. That was a little bit heely, and it's just shot off right.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a very refined club for a lot of players. This isn't going to be for everybody, and we said it in the previous pod where the Max is going to be very, very playable for players. Max and core is going to be great. Oh, hi, are you okay? Are you back? Well, clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cool, so.
Yes, yeah. It's. Oh yeah, no, it's just everyone's exercised a fair bit of sense, and
So no one's got to go to practice.
absolutely. How long have you been back?
Came back on Tuesday.
Oh right, okay. So you show a fair bit of self-restraint not to run out and play straight away.
And what it's been amazing.
Enjoyed it. It's. I spoke to Evan, went and saw him the other day, and he said you were having a great time.
It was. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing country.
Brilliant. It's. Did Australia, but never did New Zealand. So it's.
No, I've never fancied Australia because I think it's spiders. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where if it's got eyes, it can kill you. If it hasn't, it'll probably try.
But the only original animals, well, not animals, birds. That's all they have, are birds.
Really?
Everything else has been imported in.
Oh,
So it's
fair
just-
enough.
Yeah, there's no spiders, no snakes. It's just great.
Why did I go to Australia?
I don't know.
I'm terrified of snakes and spiders. It's 3S, isn't it? Snakes, spiders and sharks. If you can avoid them, you're doing alright.
There are sharks, so that's the only thing.
Yeah.
But it was just beautiful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's
Well, we've travelled all around.
everywhere for it. Oh, brilliant. That's great.
Amazing.
Oh, that's ace, that
And
is.
then you come back and it's all grown.
Yeah, welcome back. Another 6 months, the sun might come out, you'll be alright. Might be half as warm. Oh no, good to see you back anyway. Go and enjoy yourself, I'll see you soon.
I'll pick back up on the numbers joke. You were jumping into that. I'll tee you up in terms of that's what you again.
Yeah.
The low spin's going to do to you. You hit the nail on the head there, Joe. Those numbers, like you said, it's a volatile head, isn't it?
Massively, yeah, and I think again we've seen the backspin maintain, but that side spin jumps up. I do think that this is a club that you've got to be very, very, very good at hitting the centre of the face to probably get the most out of.
Yeah.
It will suit 1 or 2 players, but it isn't the club I'd jump to. It's not something I've seen massive, and I do think that we're starting to see the end of LS heads progressively now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better. Stayed just a hair right. You can see it's just that little bit more stable in the air. For me, I feel with this like I'm trying to control the strike a little bit more than necessarily just giving it speed. And I think it goes back to something that we spoke about, where when you actually look at trying to gain speed with a head, strike is massively more important than the speed you put into it. So for me, I'd rather have something forgiving that I know I can maybe not get all of and still get it out there, than this where I've got to hit the centre to get something out of it. I don't think this is going to be a head we're going to fit a lot. I think it's great if you've got a player that is absolutely lasering it, brilliant. There will be some out there, but probably a club where if you are having this head, you won't be having a stock shaft with it. I think this is going to be a real premium fitting kind of thing. Might find 1 or 2, but generally I think for what the core does with the weights move forward, it's going to be a dangerous head, and I think it's going to slowly start to eliminate these as we go.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, I think, really well, that kind of, this might be the kind of,
should we call it phasing out?
yeah, no, I don't want to say kind of it's gone all together, because there'll be, like you said, there'll be the odd few player who'll put this head.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Core's my kind of preference.
I think Core's where I'm going to go this year. It just looks that little bit more confidence inspiring, but produces the numbers. I think the Core now, with the weights forward, is producing the numbers that old LS heads have created. Yeah. They've had to do something special with this to keep it in front. Maybe we'll see a few players. I don't know who. I'll keep an eye out on tour and be quite intrigued to see, because I don't think it'll be played as much as some players think. No. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the kind of the Viz pod that we've done, and come back again, because this is what we're going to do now. All the new drivers that are coming out, we're going to jump in Joe's studio and we're going to test them out and hopefully give you some audio as well to listen to on the pod. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Enjoy.